Okay, good afternoon, students. Good afternoon, Professor Angela. Sorry,
Good
I didn't
afternoon.
I did recognize you. I will make you a co-host.
Okay, don't worry.
Okay. Today, wait, I will share my screen first. Okay. Today we will start our industrial psychology lecture series. Total, we have 3 time with Professor Angela. Professor Angela will share the her expertise regarding to industrial psychology. This is for today. The topic of industrial psychology lecture series. The first lecture series, trend shaping human resource management. Okay. Before we start the general lecture, I will introduce Professor Angela Chen, named Professor Chen Xiangling.
Yes.
She is Associate Professor in Department of Industrial and System Engineering, Chungyuan Christian University. And then these are her educations. She got a PhD, Industrial Engineering and Management in UNC University, and then MBA, Master of Business Administration in University of Houston, USA, and then Bachelor in Bioresource Engineering. Wow, what's in the Bioresource Engineering is?
Yeah.
Okay, in the University in British Columbia, Canada. Okay, and then her research interest is about project scheduling, management, service systems, and science, and then portfolio management, and then multi-criteria decision-making applications. She has got many lot of award and honors. Yeah, best paper, and then outstanding scholar award, research project award, and then outstanding teaching award. Wow, yeah. And then outstanding service award is this selected some of her achievement. Okay, okay.
Thanks.
And then the sharing session will be 1 hours. Will 1 hours, and then discussion and Q&A 30 minutes. Okay. Okay. That is the short introduction about Professor Angela Chen. Now time is yours, Professor Angela. Please.
Okay. So I don't know. I've just turned on the camera, so I'm not sure if any of you guys can see me. So is it okay
Okay.
with my pic? So I'm just gonna share my image. Is that right? Okay, my screen, right? Let's see. Okay, here we go. Can anybody see my screen right here?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Okay.
So I'm just gonna start it now. Well, first of all, thank you for inviting me to be one of the lecture in series. And today I'm gonna give a topics on trends shaping human resource management. And just to save some time, this is actually just my background. And Dr. Ronald just talk about my education. So strictly speaking, my education starts in North Central America. So when I was I was young in Central America country, and then I moved to Canada for my education. So I later on in my master, I went to US. So it's just the I guess coincidence or fate that I was back in Taiwan and working. So anyway, and in between my disciplines, I decided to study or continue with the IE. Okay, and my areas of the interest or research are around these 4 topics, but actually most of them are related to the planning and the resource things. So I'll just let's just begin with the topic, I think, because we probably only have about an hour time, and I would love to leave some of the time for the discussion. So I usually like to begin with my course or topic with a case. So this is a case that is actually, if you ever been to New York, this is one of the New York pizza store that's very famous for. It's called Angelo's Pizza. And the story goes here is that the Angelo's Pizza store that it was just opened, many years ago. And at the time when they were, opening, there were a lot of customers flooded to the store. But then after several days, I think they had a customer that nearly zero. Like nobody really goes, and even that they had a lot of negative feedbacks on their, the Facebook, or at that time called Twitter or something. So one of the comments that they've seen is that they are even saying that the waiter acts like I was doing a favor, like doing me a favor for taking my order, and then also even they say that if you want to aggravate it while you eat, okay, and this is the place for you. So those ones were pretty much very negative, okay, negative comments. And so Angelo, this actually the store owner was wondering what happened. Okay, why was so many negative comments on it? And what do you guys think? What's the problem with the store can be? Anybody? What do you think that one of the reason could be? It could be many reasons, right? So I guess when this kind of situation comes in mind, we will look into the negative comments that most of us encounter. So one of them they suspect is that maybe the waiter or waitress, the job, okay, the personnel problem, okay, that they should be look into it. So with that case, we really need to think about what human resource management is. Okay, what is human resource management? Is it all comes about, like what we say, hiring, recruiting, planning, scheduling about timetables and all that, or even salary and all those aspects, the personal aspect of this management things, okay? And so here are some of the traditional, okay, ways of human resource management. And a lot of them starting with conducting a job analysis and selecting candidates, okay, or even training the new crew, or even with like a wage, salary, like decide on the performance maybe, okay, all those. But really, do you think the HR is very important? What do you think, guys? If you do think HR is important, can you just, I don't know if you have a signal, like a raise your hand or something. Yeah. And if you do think it's important, why is it important? Why do you think it's important? Oh, good. Thank you, Elisa. Yes, several. Why is it important though? Okay. Well, yeah, anybody? Oh, I don't know if they are allowed to turn on their microphone. But you know, the reason why a lot of time we think, a lot of time we think that HR is kind of important, but it's not so important, is because we don't know where it is in the position of corporate strategy. Okay, and like I said, a lot of time we think that it's only doing hiring, recruiting, selecting, and that's about it. But it is kind of important because, in fact, if you ever move to a management level, you do realize that you need some background about HR, just like what human being or how we should manage. Okay, so it is important, in fact, to all the managers. So let's go down to, okay, do you guys know what's the difference between line and staff manager? You know what's the difference? You can drop the notes, okay? And let's look at this. Line and staff, do you think they are the same? And no? Yes? Okay, so if you think they are the same, okay, you can raise your hand. You can press like earlier, there are a few students. Okay, well, the reason why I asked that is obviously it's not the same. Okay, they're not the same, but then in terms of HR manager, which one they belong to? Are they line manager or they are staff manager? Okay, HR. And how about if you are a accountant? Okay, in an accounting department, you're an accountant. Or you are a operation manager. Are you a line or staff? Okay, so let's look at the definition of this. Okay, so for the line manager here, okay, the key is that they are responsible directly. They have a control over to the employee, the group of people, that what they should do. And in terms of the operation, so if you are a production manager, then you are a line manager, because, or if you are a store manager, you are a line manager. So the key here is that you directly have a control over to your, your group member, your department members. Okay, but so your duty as a line manager is to put the people at the right job, okay, and even, okay, to amount of people is enough for your department, okay. But if it's a staff manager here, okay, staff manager is actually slightly different. Staff manager is like we supervise people with certain organization like accounting or customer service, for example, and HR even, but then they are in the position of the advisory board. So let me put this, okay, if you are a manager in the HR, you are a line manager in a sense. But if your hiring, for example, is in the production department, that the HR manager will become a staff manager in the sense that they are helping, they're in an advisory board to help to give advice to the production department as to what kind of people or how many people, or are you in the position of hiring and so on. So the staff manager in a sense are in a more supportive role, okay, to that. Okay, so basically, what is strategic resource management? So we are no longer talking about HR management already, okay? It's in terms of strategic. What do we do? Here, it's like nowadays, we're looking more into even HR analytics. It's like we need to plan ahead about who are the people in our company. And if we have no control over about who we are, who can be in this company, then we need to set, a guideline or blueprint, give a blueprint about who and what kind of people should we include or should we even exclude. Okay, so the strategic the human resource management goes to about a strategy now, the planning part of it. Okay, so the differences between HR and strategic HR, I've listed out the difference. If you look at this right here, okay, the traditional one, okay, just like we saying, they're more of administrative operation. We are hiring, firing, giving pay. We're talking about pay structure or benefits, all that. That's a more, not to say that they are not important, but they are just very basic, essential. But what's more now with a lot of economic changes, technology change, we need to advance even in HR. So the strategic way is to formulate, okay, meaning formulation or implementation of what kind of jobs, who are the people can perform or take care of it, and what's the goal. The most important thing even is to line up with our company goal, okay, to achieve. So this is process of the strategic HR or even overall corporate management. So you can look at the first 5 steps almost are the strategic planning. So how do we come up with this planning process? This is more like a corporate management things, but then if you're using it in a HR planning, it's just exactly the same. So first of all, we need to understand or set the goal of our own business mission. Like what's your business? What is your business? What does your business want? What's the mission for that? And what type of product your business are selling. Okay, that's very important. And then, okay, we're looking at the environment scanning. It's like what type of, normally we're using the SWOT, right? But then also, okay, knowing your company's strengths, weaknesses, but also what's the environment is going to be now, the political issues or any global issues and industrial issue and all that. Those are more external, okay? And then we translated all these kind of changes and stuff into our strategy as to what type of people or what type of resource we need. So in basically that's that's all this. So you can see that strategic planning, okay, in the corporate management or even HR management, if we're ever going to plan anything, that takes almost half of the whole process, right? And of course, finally, with the strategic, execution part, we need to know how to evaluate your implementation. Is it good, the performance, and so on. So in the HR also, we will have a performance evaluation management in terms of how well and who should we evaluate, because as in the corporate level, some position will not be evaluated, but some position that they will evaluate it differently and so on. Okay, and so, well, if everybody can just look at the picture on the right, and there are 4 different type of picture, right? And imagine if you are in the position of your current business, if all of you guys own a business, and what type of picture, which picture will best suit it for you, or just, if you're thinking about your life in general. Okay, the four picture on the right that will represent part of how each different company are in the position. Okay, is your so your vision and your mission is like the road that you're traveling, and your strategy will be depends on what type of situation you're in, right? And that the industry and the market, some will be pretty smooth, but some are very rough or even very curvy. Okay, and that if you are, imagine if you are the car itself, the company, the business, or you as a company are like the car. So how big is your car? What kind of car you're driving? The car is like, if your company, your business are very technology oriented, are they very efficient? Are they running very efficient? Just like Tesla, maybe, or are you just like a school bus, okay, that needs to take some time and that's taking different winding road maybe. And so look at who are you going to employ to get on the bus or to get in the car, okay, on board in a sense. So all those are what what we need to put into consideration when we are planning our resource or company or HR ahead. So this is one of the ways that we do. Earlier, we were talking about SWOT, and in the OT part, the opportunity and threats usually refers to the external. So a lot of time we will use the pests analysis for the external analysis, understanding our environment. So E stands for basically the economic trend. So just like what is happening now, okay, later on, I will be showing you guys with some facts about what's going on in this, economic trends right now. As everybody knows, I don't know in Indonesia, how is your economics now? Are you guys booming, or are you guys kind of slow, you know? Or is one of the things we concern is about the spending, okay? Is your people, okay, are they spending a lot, or are they actually not spending, or inflation and all those? Those are what we call the economic trends. And a lot of them will affect, okay, in terms of how you will be putting what type of people coming in to your company. Sometimes you got no choice, okay, and sometimes you have a lot of saying, because, for example, like in Taiwan now, the TSMC are expanding, so they are like going all around the campus because they're setting a lot of factories, so they need quite a bit of people. But do they know what type of people they need? Yes, they do, because they do have a concept about what type of human talent, we call talent, that they need. And that related to the type of product that TSMC is doing, right? Okay. And also the political part of it. And earlier actually just recently, we do have a kind of, I would say the US government were asking TSMC to have certain amount of business or trade, business secrets exposure, or things like that, to not even just the Taiwan company, but also Korean company and stuff. So those are the political issues that if any of the foreign companies that decided to expand or invest their factory, or anything, investment in the foreign places, political always the issue. And one of the things that they're trying to asking a lot of people that coming to invest in their country is because of the job opportunities, right? So I'm pretty sure this will be in the case in Indonesia as well, that you guys will have a lot of foreign company that go into your country. So what type of company that they are going to your to Indonesia and doing business? Are they more of the service e-commerce type or manufacturing? Because I know that in Taiwan, a lot of foreign company that comes to Taiwan now is more of it's more of not so much of building a manufacturing. Google is one, but it's not so much manufacturing, but it's more of the high tech type. And I also know that a lot of Taiwanese company that go into like Vietnam or any other, like Myanmar even, and Myanmar is one of the country that's having a really severe, or I would say serious question about the political safety there. So those ones will definitely influence about how the country goes in terms of what kind of HR strategy is. Should we send people there or should we hire local people instead? And also the technological part. Okay, those ones are related to what type of knowledge or what aspect of the people, okay, that they are hiring. Like I know right now the most popular type of degree that you're holding will be engineering parts, and or even with the health related like nursing and all others, okay, because of the COVID, right? So technology will definitely do a lot of part, but also there are some people are saying about technology where, it can actually replace the human labors. Okay, so those ones are really the issue of how many or how much, how do we allocate our resource? And lastly, of course, is the social economic aspect, social aspects, like different generation with their different preference, their behavior, and so on. And even I don't think that's a problem in Indonesia, but it is definitely a problem in Taiwan that our aging population. So as our people here in Taiwan are getting old, a lot of old people. So there will be an extension about what age you can retire. Okay, like us, we've already postponed it. And so just those people, who can stay in a job, what kind of job they can work. Okay, this is another issue that as a company, when you're planning in a long term, you really need to think about what type of young people we should hiring, what kind of background knowledge. How about those older people, that when they stay on the job, should we get them retrained? Okay, and so on. So the HR strategy is basically a more of a two, two I would say goal. One is that we focusing on how to produce the employee skills and behavior. Okay, so that's more of our, strategy aspect. And the other, also another aspect or another goal is how do we get employee competence? Okay, they have confidence. They have confidence about in terms of their work performance, and that. So basically, the two aspects we're looking at is one, okay, to know what type of skill they need and what do we need to basically to acquire those people, and also how do we elevate our talents, the level of our talents. So if you look at this picture on the right, we can see that HR policy or some practice basically require us or company to maintain or to obtain the possible human competence or our employees' competency, maybe through recruiting or maybe through training and so on. But then also there's another aspect, like I said, when we are trying to formulating the strategy, is that we need to know what type of job, what type of skills, okay, what type of behavior even that we want our employee to be. So in order to achieve the company goal. So the HR strategy actually will need it to be in line with the company's goal. So overall, the company's goal will be the base, and then move to that, and then move to all the action that we're talking about. Okay, so the future talent. Okay, if I can, I would just like you guys to think about, what do you think the future talent look like? Okay, what kind of future talents should we, or are we in the process? And believe or not, our customers actually care more of who can serve them than the company or our employee, us, ourselves. In other words, customer really care about who will be serving them. And if you have that mentality, you will know that, okay, it is the talent, it is the skill part, okay, that we really need to think about when we are planning for our human resource. So look at this one. This is information that coming from the, let me see. This is information that coming from the McKinsey, okay, global institution. It's very, very updated. In this graph here, okay, we can see that after the pandemic or COVID-19, people are getting, we call the work from home or even study on, at home kind of thing. So the study is done by looking at the overall physical proximity, okay, meaning the closeness, the physical closeness or the relation between people. And then they find out that, okay, they're looking at the physical proximity into two aspects. Okay, one is the human interaction, and the other one is more like a work environment here. So the darker color, meaning it's higher, more intensive. So you can see that with this, on the left-hand side here, those ones are different type of, maybe we can call jobs or industry. And you see that medical care, okay, is actually the highest, right? And then the next one will be the personal care, okay, and the on-site customer interaction. Those ones are, like that the top, I would say the top highest physical proximity due to the COVID. And especially for when we're talking about personal care, it's not so much of the hair salon or the gym anymore. It's more of like even like, babysitting or, take care of healthcare kind of issues. Okay, with that. And so on. So the work environment here, and you can also say that, for example, the medical care, okay, they, they can work as an indoor work, okay, the highest, and then the next one will be the personal care, okay, it's the second highest as well. So the work proximity shows that after the COVID-19 here, that it's even more obvious as to what type of industry or what type of job that require more of the personal relationship or people to people's relationship. And this is another one, for example, like I said, like home sport, okay, for example, and or even what about school? Okay. And as you guys know, like the student here in Taiwan, that even though they can learn online, but then a lot of them are looking so much forward with the in-class learning because of the interaction that they strongly feel they needed, and also with some other things. Okay. So basically, what we find out here is that even though we've seen earlier that some jobs, okay, like the job that we're talking about here, for example, computer-based office work, okay, they probably can work remotely, but then there is a higher percentage of people um, working in the remote, but who are they? Okay, we know that there's a higher percentage of job that they work remote, but then what type of people are they? So the study continued to show that it's actually among the highly skilled, okay, people and even highly educated worker that they are that their job they are involved are most likely to be able to work remotely. Okay. And part of the job, even with the occupation oriented or even geological or something like computer based in terms of the technology part and stuff. So all of them are a potential to be able to work remotely or stay at home kind of thing. And they even find out that if you're when we are saying about the different geographic kind of thing, meaning if you live more of the urban areas or suburbs, okay, more centralized or more decentralized. Because if it's decentralized, a decentralized area, and based what we find out in that study is that there's no difference. It's actually the centralized area that most of the work end up to be more of the work from home kind of thing. And also the next one they find out is that about 20 to 25% of the workforce that they can actually work at home and very effectively, and their work from home, the duration, the time they stay at home and stuff will be approximately about 3 to 5 days. Okay, that's when we're talking about effective working. But you can imagine that during the past a year or even almost a year and a half, some areas or some country are forced to lock down. So those type of situation happen. And work from home is basically just not 3 or 5 days anymore. It's like almost every day you're in a company with your family while you need to work with your colleagues as well. Okay, and also we realize, or in this study, we realized that how do you decide on what type of jobs is suitable for working at home or remotely? It actually depends on what type of activity or the job you're doing, what type of work you're doing. Okay, so task and activities here are more dominant as to whether you can work at home or you're not able to work at home. So when we are looking at going back to earlier about our medical care, for example, the physical closeness requires, or we call the human interaction requires quite a bit, right? It's quite high. So, and it is not hard to imagine that those medical staff and stuff, they cannot work at home. But whereas if we're talking about leisure and travel industry, or even a restaurant, for example, during the lockdown, they're forced to close, but then people are just getting less travel. Okay, so that's bearable in a sense. Okay, So just what type of job or task that we are doing, and that they can be done, or they can be done remotely, or they cannot be done remotely. So on the left are some type of a list of the activities that that in this study that we look into. And the darker sides are more of the effective potential, and the blue one is theoretical, meaning we're predicting. Okay, so here you can look at the activity here with updating knowledge and learning. So if your job is updating knowledge and learning and so on, just like what we're doing now, it's more likely that we can do it remotely. So that's one. But what about here? Like, you're providing consultation and advice? Well, here is even though, okay, it's kind of low for now, but it is predict that this type of job can work from home pretty high, actually. So such like, for example, financial institution, we're talking about financial planners and so on, that they just need, the video conferencing maybe, and sign up for certain things. So the advice for the financial matters and stuff. And what about any others that just cannot do it? Well, here there are some. For example, we were talking about teaching and training and coaching. This type of things that this category is more refers to, for example, if it's a PE teacher coaching like a sports. Okay, those you really need to be a physical, teaching. They're not like online can do it, right? So those type of things will be more of tasks that cannot do it remotely, and so on. And how about anything else? Well, there are some, for example, caring. Okay, so you can see those are more related to the medical or even old age care and those type of things. And how about, for example, moving, like logistics. Okay, we can do a lot of online shopping, but then who's going to ship the product? So those ones are almost, impossible to do remotely, even though we're trying to invent some of the drones or something to be able to deliver our product without using a human being. But still, right now it's just halfway. Okay. And in terms of here, let me see, this one, the COVID here. Okay, how has the COVID, the pandemic, if influences in terms of our industry? Basically, right here we can see there are three industry. I would say trend, maybe even with the digitization, e-commerce, and automation. So automation with all the production that is trying to use, if your production, factory that heavily rely on the human resource, then you can see a lot of company now try to put more into the automation, like robots and all those. And e-commerce, even that the retail store, all of them are online. Even though they have both online and offline, but in terms of pandemic or lockdown happen, people are shopping online more, and so on. Okay, and if you look at this one, you can see within different country, okay, almost I would say almost most of the country that they have in the growth is 2 to 5 times even. So for example, United Kingdom, okay, their growth rates were before the pandemic, meaning the average year 2015 to 2019, okay, that was their average kind of growth. But then after the pandemic, they grow almost like 6 times more, right? And how about China? China is a little higher too, but even that is like, almost 2 times, and United States and all that. And so you can see that how pandemic has been changing a lot of our environments right here. Okay, so what is the trend? Sharing so much with what's going on, those are more environmental aspects or industry aspects of changing. So how do those trends that influence our HR right now? And when in this video, I would like to, if I have time, let me see how, if I have time, I can quickly, I don't know if you guys can see it, or can you guys hear the video? Okay, if
Hello?
not, yeah,
Not yet.
not yet. Okay, let me just, oh, no, not this one. Can you hear this? No?
No.
No?
No.
Okay, well, I think it's because, let me see. Well, anyway, this is a link that I would like, I would share with you guys the link later on. And if you are interested, I would greatly encourage you guys to watch this one, because it really talks about The Economist. This is one of my favorite magazine. They've done really good job in terms of analyzing a lot of present situation, doing like industry or political or even manufacturing, all kinds, but they've done a very in-depth analysis. And this is one report they did in terms of the workforce, or even future job. And they here they really talk about how, we are working independently now with the job. So because I cannot really play this. So
Professor Angela, maybe I
yeah.
can help you to share the
Oh,
video.
great. So
Yes.
how about I will,
I have the,
you have the link?
yes. Wait.
Oh,
Yeah, okay.
should I post the link right here?
Yes.
I will give everybody, including you, in case anybody interested. It's a little long. It's 19 minutes, but we don't have 19 minutes. So I would need you guys
It's
to
all
help.
right.
Yeah, I would like you to help me with, can you go to the minutes? It's, let me see, I jogged down the notes. 10 minutes, about 10:46. Yeah,
10 for
yeah,
40.
yeah.
This one?
Oh, 10 is fine. Yeah, 10.
10 is
Yeah,
okay.
10 is fine. Okay, good. That's good. Thank you.
Okay.
Is healthy for consumers, but Max has a more fundamental complaint: that basic employment rights such as sick pay and job protection are denied to most gig economy workers.
They don't have any ability to set the price of their labour, they don't have any ability to negotiate with the client, they have zero protection. Of course people like flexibility, but that shouldn't come at the expense of everything that's ever been fought for the last 200 years.
Those people have money. They have millions in their accounts.
Max continues that fight as Vice President of the Independent Workers' Union of Great Britain.
Okay, so can you stop here for a little while? Okay, so again, this is a very long video, but they detail in 3 aspects of the 3 issue, I would say. But one of this that we are actually watching right now is a gig economy. Later on in my slides, we will talk about it too. But the individual worker is it's a trend that people, we don't belong to any organization. We work for ourselves. So the gig economy right now is going on. And this is one of the issue that they're talking about, you know, their right, their pay, their compensation, and so on. Okay, so that's one part. Okay, you can continue.
The union is mounting legal challenges against large companies operating in the gig economy.
We've taken a number of courier companies to tribunal, City Sprint, eCourier, Addison Lee, and Excel, and now we're taking on Deliveroo as well.
Okay, so let's, Bruno, can you help me
like
to
Max.
move to 15? 15, around 15, yes. So that was one issue, and now we're looking at the other issue. Yes, thank you. That's great. Thank you. Well, everybody know what the issue
But
is
in the
this now,
minds
right?
of many
Yeah.
people, there's an even greater threat to the workforce of the future. And it comes from a new breed of worker. One that is relentlessly efficient, works round the clock, and never complains. Robots and artificial intelligence are increasingly part of many industries. Machines will soon take the wheel from truck drivers. And companies are turning to new types of robots for mass production of food.
New worries about robots taking jobs.
Automation is set to cause mass disruption to working lives.
As artificial intelligence and automation grow by leaps and bounds.
Good, thank you.
45.
Okay, so I will just start here. Okay, so should I go back to, can you see my sharing?
Not okay.
Not yet?
Not-
Okay, here. Okay, let me see where we are now. Okay, so right here. Okay, so that link I just post on it. So if you are interested, you can watch it later on. But then basically here, there were 3 issues that brought it up, and we've just very quickly looked into 2, right? And but overall, you know, we can see the trends that you know, the top talents. So the job is not just you know, its job is like polarized now. It's either a very talented, very high-end, technological oriented job, or the entry level. We're talking about logistics, for example. Earlier, we were seeing people are trying to, you know, like Uber, for example, or even the truck driver that right now the European, they are having a serious problem of who is gonna shipping all those cargo and all that. So there are like a polarization right there. And also in terms of the technology, we will be replaced in the sense that by the robots. Okay, so those ones are the trend. But what are we gonna do? Okay, so that's something I would like you guys to think about at the end. If we can have a discussion, we will discuss about that. But just moving on with in the video, we're talking about gig economy, right? Everybody probably know what gig is now, and that here, okay, there's certain characteristics. Okay, not all jobs are really gig, but then you know, there are certain characteristics. For example, part-time, okay, or anything that was the sharing, work sharing, especially part-time. And also a lot of them are independent. So we have independence and also contracting, okay, the contract job. And the job frequency or the length, the duration of the jobs is not stable or is not consistent. So we call on call, right? Or temporary. Those ones are the typical jobs in our gig economy now. And that you can see that the number of these jobs that is increasing even. This is only this picture that I'm getting.
Hello? Hello, Professor Angela? Hello? Oh, maybe she lose the connection, maybe. Okay, we will wait for a moment.
Hello, hi.
Hello, hello, hi.
Hello,
Hello.
sorry, I got
Sorry.
kicked out, right? Don't
Yes,
worry.
yes.
Don't worry, don't worry.
Okay.
So should I just start?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm just gonna share the screen again and right here. Okay, so
Okay.
I'll just be starting here, this one. Okay, well, I've shown this 4 pictures, right? And those ones are what's going on, what's been going on in our economy right now, or even we call it a geek economy. And those of you, student here, do you know anybody who is currently working as a side gig? Anybody like Uber? Do you know? I know of some of my students, or the student at hers, their part-time job is Uber deliverer, or anything else. For example, this sharing things. Do you guys do any sharing, like job sharing? Because those people are like doing job sharing, and look at them. Those are more of when you're looking at in a in this kind of setting, that their job are more probably technological or white collar, I would say, excuse my language, but then maybe higher end of it, because they're doing a lot of talking or sharing in a coffee shop kind of things, and that they're in this discussion or designing. And how about this one? Okay, this is the person stand there is not the boss, actually. That's not the focus. The focus is on the shop in the store, and all those little compartment right there. It's another type of sharing. I don't know if it's actually in Africa. I don't know in Indonesia, do you guys have ever had one? But then in Taiwan, there were they were pretty popular for a while, and somehow they just died down. Okay, but then those ones are like they grocery shop. They rent out little places for people to put their stuff and sell. Okay, so those are the typical kind of gig economy jobs that they are doing right now. And as in terms of Taiwan, remember earlier we were talking about how human resource relies so much on the population of the one country. Taiwan here currently we have 23,000 people, of the population right now, and our growth rate is actually declining. And our demographic trends here are among all those people. Okay, and we actually have 41% of baby boomer, and we have the generation X 29%, and generation Y 24%. So the people who are the oldest is only about 6%. So most of them are actually baby boomers, but just how old baby boomer are. And if you look at that, this is a population trend that is grow. So the baby boomer now is actually around this area. Okay, so it's actually around this area now. Okay, so it's probably about 60 to 40 around that range now. So you can see that our base here are quite narrow, and so we are expecting that we will have a problem with the population growth. Yet in terms of company, we will be facing about talent selection, like who can we hire? Should we hire more of the local people, like Taiwan people? But then we don't even have enough. So we definitely will be looking at hiring some people from all over the world. Okay, but then just what type of level of skill that we need. And this is one of the topic that a lot of company are discussing about. And in terms of the female and male ratio, we are actually right okay. We are like almost 1-to-1, so there is no problem. But in other area of this country, that they may have gender imbalance problem. Okay, so here is the groups that we can see that most of the people will be about 65 years old, or even 55 to 65, around this, and that's definitely we are that's a reason why we are actually postponing our retirement age, right? Because most of them are growing with a certain degree of the the certain I would say certain part of the population that are getting old, and only about 25 years old to 54 years old that eventually, okay, even though that's 45% of the population, but eventually they are moving on to 55 to 64. So so what happened here is that what should we do with our education, or with our compensation or salary pay? Okay, and this is the middle age, median age. Okay, meaning the average, it's not even average, but the median age of our population Taiwan is 42 years old, and that this is actually, I would say, consider not quite old, but then it's definitely older than like a lot of Asian country. I know like Indonesian has a very young median age, and Malaysians as well, and Indian as well. And so for us, we are actually better than Japan, but then still is 42 years old is around the life cycle of probably are getting a lot of family or family pressures or financial pressures and all those. Okay. So with this, our working age population, we say, is 16 to 65. So if you look at earlier, we were talking about the distribution. We will be looking at 45 right here. It's not 45, but then 11, and adding with 45. So we have about 60 or 70%. So we are quite okay, but it's just because our birth rate are so low, and eventually we will be facing about not enough young people in the case. So we will have quite a bit of dependent population, but amount of the dependent population, old age people will take quite a bit of the percentage. Okay, that caused a lot of burden on us in terms of tax or healthcare system. And in this video, I don't really have any more time, I know. And again, this is talking about what type of a future HR are we ready for it? Okay, and of course, I will pass you the link, and if you are interested, you can watch it. Okay, and in that video is just talking about what kind of job, I would say skill gap. So skill gap that we need. So here, I'm just using this a summary, for example, the talent and analytic. So in terms of what kind of skill gap, this is something that HR is doing now, is that we are using the talent analytic. The talent analytic is by getting a lot of data through the employees, and we are analyzing them. And of course, also with the job analysis, that we are analyzing them, what type of skill they need. So we plan out what kind of training course or what type of people we are hiring. And also here with the human capital. Okay, this is more of the economic side. Earlier, like we said, about demographic trends and stuff, and people, the age and the genders and all that. So we are looking more of the education, within the existing education, what type of I would say degree that, or things that nowadays young people like to study. Do they like to study more of engineering aspects or any other business aspect? And all those ones are the human capital, part of it. Okay, so talking about human capital, I guess we are looking at what capital really means. And it's actually a resource, and the capital meaning that it's something that once we invested in as a resource, that we are able to get a return, like a reward, either in the money aspects or in any intangible aspects. So in a traditional way, company looking at the HR as it's not so much as an asset like us, like an employee, but nowadays they're looking more of an asset, because they know that if to acquire or to hire someone really good at their job or really knowledgeable, they can bring a lot of return or reward in terms of how the corporate is growing or development. Okay, so the intangible, they're viewing human capital as intangible assets, and that they are evaluating those intangible assets into many aspects, like economic value, or anything like intelligence, okay, or the health even, so and so on. Okay, and I think here I would just skip this one, because here is only talking about the distributed HR and then HR performance, how we should evaluate them. I would just save this in the next few talks, because we're going to talk about how to hire and how to evaluate them. Okay, so today we've learned about what's HR and what's the future. Okay, HR is going to be what's the future trend in terms of a job. So now I would like to, well, it's open for discussion now. And I'm a little bit over time, I think. But anyway, I'm just wondering, anybody have any thoughts in terms of who are the most vulnerable worker in the post, pandemic situation in our labor market? And how would you perceive as you guys are going to the workforce pretty soon, or maybe a few years down the road, what kind of talents do you think you will be inquiring for yourself? And also, in terms of the independent workforce, what do you think will be like? Okay, thank you. So I'll head back to, should I?
Okay, thank you,
Yeah.
Professor Angela. This is a class discussion, right?
Yeah.
Maybe, as information, in this class, there are Indonesian students, also Vietnamese students.
Oh,
so,
okay.
Yes, there's, so we mix this is international class actually. And
okay.
then it's very interesting because maybe we have like Taiwan have own culture, and Indonesian have own culture about the human resource, and then Vietnam also have own culture also. And then before the class discussion, actually, I have a question, Professor Angela.
Okay.
I'm very interested with your explanation about the, what's that? Wait, about the potential share of time working remotely. Yes, it's very, to select activity categories. It's very interesting for me.
Oh, right over there.
Yes.
Okay, I cannot control my, okay, here. I think that those are the jobs right here, right? This one?
Yes, it's
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
very, very, very interesting for me.
Yes,
Actually,
yes,
in the
true.
pandemic, maybe this condition.
Remind you, those are in the United States.
Yes, United
It's a
States.
study. So I
Okay.
was, yeah. Anyway, go on.
Okay. In your opinion, maybe digitalization and in the development of technology have a good impact to the employee, but I also concerned about the bad impact in the employee. Like maybe some employee will be like apathetic, yeah, apathetic, and then will influence the performance of the employee. In your
Yes.
opinions, any situation or maybe what should the company do about that to like we the culture will be changed, right? The culture will be changed and make the employee become apathetic, and then can influence the overall of the performance of the company.
Okay, well, let me just expand my thoughts, your questions in this, part as well. Yeah, with the situation right now, the pandemic, it does look like the company has more of a saying as to the job opportunity, because as we looking at some industry because of the lockdown, so they just have to, fire some worker, right? But then for us as an employee, individual, if we're looking at individually, I think we really need to think in terms of what type of job, or even just like this, activities that my job involved, so that we can evaluate the possibility of working remote, or even either on site or off site. Okay, remote from remotely, or something like that. What I'm trying to say is that some of the job, for example, like teacher, like us, we can act, if we're looking at the activities, we are definitely, sharing the knowledge, but we know that we can definitely work from home, right? But then there are some jobs that are not able to do so. And that's the job that, if that's what, if that's what it's really critical to you, because something like, for example, I would say logistic industry, that people, for example, deliverer, the truck driver, even just delivering products, the truck driver versus the Uber. Okay, the industry size and the necessity of the product really puts the employee into a different kind of level, the negotiation. Like for most of the Uber deliverer, they will probably have less saying, okay, than the truck driver who deliver maybe a cargo and so on. And that's one thing that I think for us individually, if we want to protect our rights or planning out our career path, I think we can use this chart to really reevaluate the potential of what's going to happen after the pandemic. That's just what I mean. Yeah. So like, for example, if you're a designer and if you're into the designing things, you're most likely to be able to work from home, work from home. But then with that, does that makes you less or more saying in terms of in the workforce? Okay, so I think that's something when we as an individual try to plan out our career path. Okay, yeah, I don't know if I'm answering you the questions, but yeah.
Yes, thank you. Actually, for some industry that have like a high contact interaction, yeah, between man-to-man, face-to-face, like that one, high tech will replace the the interaction. So there is like something loose, or uh, before we have a interaction, we have a communication face to face, and then because of the pandemic, or maybe because of the digitalization, it may will decrease or reduce the communication, like
Yes.
that one. So I don't know.
So actually I'm glad you bring that up in terms of even I was just saying the designer part. If you're
Yes.
in the business of designing, for example, the IC industry, you're designing that's quite different from designing artistic kind of thing. It's really different. So in that sense, even being a designer, because you're involving in a different kind of a job characteristic or industry, that definitely you will have a certain degrees of flexibility, but yet, like for example, like I remember Google or Apple, like even in the LA, even when it's lockdown, they're still asking some of their engineering or designer to go to work, because that's classified, that's classified things, right? So they wouldn't allow to
Yes.
work remotely. So it's really depends on what the situation is. But I was just saying that all this activities that we listed out, it gives us a reference as to what type of them are possible, and but then if you're really look into as to the bargaining power that we have with our company, then that really also different case by case. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you, Professor
Yeah.
Angela.
Yeah.
Maybe we move to the discussion. I think it's related with the discussion is about the independent workers.
Okay.
But I think the too independent is also not good, right? Too independent. So
Okay. Well, here I actually would like to say it really depends. Actually, I would like to ask the student here in terms of the salary and wage. What's the difference? Do you know? Because that even in the geek economy, or we call it work independence, there are actually two different different aspects. So in terms of the salary or wages, okay, I would say like Uber deliverer, or those kind of the picture that I just showed you guys, those ones are more of those ones, this type of I would say this type of, especially the Uber deliverer, their pay will most be evaluated, or they are paid by hour. So we call the wage. But to some kind of job, for example, like this, I'm only use picture because of that. It can be by still individual worker, but their pay will be called salary, because they are on contract and they can actually pay pretty good, so it really depends on I would say the expertise or professional, what's your expertise and how professional you are, or what's the level of the skill that required in terms of different jobs. So that really reflects on how much your income will be, or how you will get paid, really. So individual worker is actually not bad. It offers flexibility. Yeah. Yeah.
okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Maybe we back to the question. Yes,
I will return back this to you.
class discussion. Maybe any student here, Indonesian and Vietnamese students, do you have an opinion about this? Please. Okay, Philbert. Hello, Philbert.
Yes, sir.
Yes, maybe you can raise the question or maybe respond the class discussion questions. Hello, Philbert.
Yep.
Sorry, sir. Wait.
Hello, maybe you can have you have an opinion or maybe you will respond the class discussion questions. There are two questions, right, for this class discussion. The first, sorry, Professor Angela, can you
Okay.
share the
Sure.
questions here?
Okay. One of my questions is that will the pandemic spurt growth, like encourage growth in the independent worker? What do you think? The pandemic situation, do you think there will be a lot of independent jobs?
Okay.
Yeah, independent jobs. People like to work independently now instead of belonging to the company.
Okay. Let me think first. Can you wait about 1 minute?
Yeah. So do you need how about I will
Yes.
I,
Okay.
can
Yes.
you
Yes. Okay.
this
Will the pandemic, yes, spur growth the independent workforce?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
this
Yes.
okay. So basically, yeah, that's one thing in terms of the future trend, right? So we're looking at, do you guys think that with the pandemic situation, the COVID, they will just encourage more and more people who would like to work independently, you know, not belonging to any company? We will just get a contract jobs and so on.
Could you give us the example of independent job? Maybe like
Oh, for example, like
yes,
Uber or
Uber.
job
Okay.
sharing even, because
Okay.
some job, for example, especially I would say coding, you know,
Okay.
it's part of the computer science kind of job, or
Okay.
even with the financial analyst.
Analysis. Okay.
Yeah, those ones. Yeah. So do you think those ones will be more?
Okay. I think this pandemic has actually made workers more creative because by finding methods to survive, but it's undeniable that they will become an independent workforce to workers about since from 1 or 2 hours, and maybe after 2 hours, more 2 hours, they can be dependent work, I think.
Okay, so they can be, yeah, sure. And how about, is there any, earlier in my talk, I was talking about the trends, you know, how there's two polar, like two side, right? One, even with the independent workforce, but there will be two sides of it. One is more of the high end one, but the other one is more of, you know, maybe require low skill kind of job. So in that case, we will say, for example, Ubers, I don't know, like back in your country, do you guys have you noticed that there's more and more people who maybe get their second or even third job in a more of like a, Uber type of job? Like back in your country, do you find more people getting more of the maybe Uber deliverer or even Uber taxi or any sharing job kind of thing? Do you think so?
Yes, I think so.
Yeah, because in Taiwan, I noticed there's quite a bit. And why do you think this is happening though? Why do you think there are more people working like Uber deliver or even Uber taxi or even, those kind of jobs? Well, one thing we've seen is because of the demands. For example, people are not allowed to go out and eat, so they need to order food online, right? So that's the demand side, that they need a lot of people to help out to deliver. But another side we've seen is that it's a flexibility that we like to feel like employee like to feel being more control. Okay, we like to be able to arrange our own working time, and also a lot of them, even if they are working as an Uber taxi, doesn't mean that they don't have a full-time job. They probably still have a full-time job, right? That people are just short of money maybe. Okay, they want to earn extra income. Okay, and that some of them can have a multi kind of at the same time they can have work at many different jobs because of the flexibility. They can just rearrange the time themselves, and they can get a maximum value of the hourly pay. So the concept of hourly pay, it's more of in our own control than employers control now. Something like that. That's what I observed. Yeah, or our studies show. Yeah.
Professor Angela, is it
Yeah.
related with the characteristic of millennial generation or Z generation, like that one? So I think in the maybe baby boomers generations, people have job safety, like a safe job, like that one, and then it's related integrity and also loyal to one company, like that one.
Yeah, true. Yeah. That was a study done in terms of Japanese generation, and they realized that in the old time, like a long time ago, they really think that Japanese worker have a higher loyalty to their company, because the company, once they hire, they basically hire them for their life. But then that was a study done like 10 years ago that they realized it's not happening anymore, because they can get laid off anytime. But even now, to the more recent generation, those young people, Japanese young people, they actually have less loyalty to their company now. So that there was a study regarding that. So I'm glad you bring it up. Yeah, it's possible, even happening in Taiwan. I'm pretty sure happening to like anywhere. Yeah. So yeah, it's true. Yeah. So yeah, well, another there are many interesting topics that we can look into, actually, in terms of how the multi-skill, multitask situation happening, like you and I, like student who are right now, in this class, you can have a multitask while you're enjoying this talk and so on. But then being as an employee or employer, if you are a coordinator, how you should allocate, and this is all, all the a topic that I think is interesting to look into, how you allocate all the talents. Yeah. And how do you get the talents? How do you allocate the talents? Yeah. and so on. So, yeah.
I want to hear from Vietnamese students. Maybe you can also maybe share to us about the condition on the edge about the Vietnamese millennial students. Lee Tan Tui, maybe you can share your opinion. Hello, Lee Tan Tui. Okay, Lee Tui Tan.
It's me, sir.
Okay, maybe you can share your opinion about our discussions. Yes.
Well, in Vietnam, especially the last five months, especially in Ho Chi Minh City,
Yes.
we still close and we just open for like a week. And
wow.
Yeah, and I don't think the pandemic will grow in Vietnam, because will grow the independent workforce in Vietnam is because for the last 5 months, it's like everything closed. Even the shipper all the workers don't have the allowance to go outside, and the military and the police will supply us with food. So
Wow.
yeah, I don't think it will grow in the independent for in Vietnam if the pandemic keep continue.
But then I'm sure, how about the people, the factory workers? So they also stop going there, right? Yeah. So again, I think the pandemic brings up the issue more to a company that they really need to just not only care about how they pay to the coworker, but then in terms of their health issue, like how they can keep the work environment safe and the overall like pandemic here, right? They need to provide a more safe work environment so that the coworker actually can go to the factory and work. I think a lot of factory design right now is not for that, and therefore when the pandemic hits, no worker can go to factory, and then they need to shut down, right? Yeah. But yeah, I think Vietnam has a lot of people that working in the factory, and they're like, it's very busy and booming. The economy is very booming. Do you guys have a lot of entrepreneurs, like meaning people who are starting their own business kind of thing?
Yes, we do have, but it's not a lot.
Okay, what type of business they do? Like, do they in terms of being an entrepreneur? Are they opening like a store kind of? What kind of store? Like a restaurant kind of thing, or like retail or trading and stuff? I'm just curious.
Even I don't think I know much about it. So, yeah.
Yeah, well, you can actually being a little more observant and look at in terms of if people ever gonna start their business. Like Taiwan here, particularly if people are trying to be an entrepreneur, they first of the things that they do is all in a like a hospitality kind of thing. I'm talking about like opening up a cafe and all those, and those ones are, well, not so good in terms of the situation now because they get hit badly, right? But there are some entrepreneur that they are doing the trading. Okay, then they hit not so bad, but then they encounter a bigger problem is the logistic, the supply chain problem, because right now, right? So you can really look into on your country there, like what type of situation or the entrepreneurship there, and because that's one of the independent workforce that we're talking about as well. It's not just Uber deliver. Those entrepreneur, they are one of the independent workforce, one types of as well. Yeah. So.
Okay.
Yep.
Maybe in Indonesia also like start a small business like well
Yes.
basically food and beverage is maybe it's a very simple business, right? Food and
Yeah.
beverage and they sell the food by online or maybe
Yes.
Instagram or like that.
Yes. Yes.
Media social is very
Yeah.
yeah.
So if you're opening up a food business, it does not mean that you're really gonna lose a lot of money. It's just like you probably have to think online instead of opening up a restaurant kind of thing. So if you're opening up food online, ordering, and then you get it delivered by Uber, then you can start still having a good income and so on. So those ones are, I guess the independent workforce has changed. The definition of that has changed in the pandemic situation. Yeah.
Okay. But I think is with online there are something is missing like that.
Oh.
Yeah, of
Yeah.
course. Yeah, like for example, we are a teacher. Actually, we have give full attention with the students and students focus in our teaching maybe. But in this situation, maybe make like there is something missing.
Oh yeah, that's what they were called. That's why the earlier I was sharing about physical proximity. Remember
Yes,
there was
physical, yes.
this one. No, not this one. Remember that's another thing right here. This one, the physical proximity.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it meaning the physical closeness. Some job we just need it. Okay, so for example, we're talking about healthcare and stuff, and the education actually is a big. It's a part that people are like kind of think, well, maybe we don't need it, but then after a long time, they actually feel that the peer learning, like student to student learning, that being in a classroom is actually helpful in terms of their overall learning performance and stuff. So I don't know, like it's really different, but then yeah, but this is one thing that people are talking about, like like teacher being a teacher, is this teacher job, is it necessary to be in a classroom or just online can do as well? Yeah. So yeah, but yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Any other question from the students? Okay, Levina, is there questions? Hello, Levina.
Yeah, sir. From me, not yet, sir.
Not yet. Okay. I think this is a very interesting topics, yeah, related to human. So it's
Yeah.
the
future factory.
Yes, the future talent factory.
Yeah. So I guess it really depends on what do you guys think of, how do you define talent? See, yeah, I think that's another interesting thing to talk about. Like, how do you define talents? So one of this about the future HR, this video, YouTube video actually talks about what type of talents or skill, in other words, or skill gap. Okay, it's many aspects you can look at that we need, and I think it's interesting. Yep. So.
Okay, Mrs. Rihanna, do you have a question maybe for this is Miss Rihanna? Mrs. Rihanna, hello.
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 Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Hi, Prof.
Mariana. Hi.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Well, I really was interested about the analytics that you mentioned. Can you give like an example, maybe from one of your research, how HR analytics really impact the HR world in this era?
Okay, sure. In one of my study before, or even I would say currently is going, is about the human capital. Like we are looking at what do we mean by capital and what human capital really means. So the capital here also goes back to the talent. So I think what we did was collecting. Well, you gotta have a company that are able to supply us with the records of people who are working in terms of what kind of jobs and the job skill they need and their performance, and then how they are, what type of department they're in, because some may be in a production, so or in marketing and so on. Then we will evaluate with their KPI, like the performance, because each department will have their different performance evaluation. So we need to get all those KPI, and then we evaluate it in terms of how effective. For example, if it's a sales, then we will see if how many sales they have done visiting their customers, and do they get any customer feedbacks, and those feedbacks will probably be either for example, like I would say repurchasing. Okay, do they keep on getting the customer retention, like well, the customer keep coming back and buying? Or also in terms of the customer satisfaction, do they how they rate it? It's more of a survey, but then sometimes they will drop a note on there may be companies like a Facebook and so on. So it will be more like a text mining kind of things. So those information that we are getting, and then going back to how much this employer got paid, and what type of education background, and if it's female, those are more basic demographic. So I think what we were doing before was like try to analyze in the particular job or particular domain of knowledge, and then how this person fit into this job, and then how he or she is on the job, and then what's the KPI and how effective they've achieved. And then we need to find out, I guess, you know, in the average kind of performance, and then to define what the capital, what the capital really means, or good or bad kind of thing like that. Yeah. So that's what we're doing. Yeah.
Thank you, Professor.
Yeah. We're not even in the allocation yet. So we're only on the threshold, like a performance KPI kind of thing. Because sometimes the KPI can be reasonable, sometimes cannot be. And people who has the skill or not having a skill may have something to do with the capability of achieving or not. So that's what we're trying to define, what the human capital really is. Yeah. So
it's a really interesting. Thank you, Professor.
Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Angela.
Yeah,
we
welcome.
also have Mrs. Tu. Mrs. Tu is lecturer from Ho Chi Minh University of Science and Education.
Oh.
She also graduated from CYCU. She was my classmate.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Mrs. Tu.
Good afternoon, Angela.
Hello. Hi.
Hello.
Hi. Yeah, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
She was my classmate under Professor Yang.
Oh.
Professor Yang Chin.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So you guys are the same lab then?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, great. Yes.
Angela, may I have. It's not a question. I want you to share your experience about in manufacturing. You know, we have the situation that the worker who joined the factory in very they quit their job very in short time, like after we train them to can do the job there. So after one or 2 months they will quit.
Attrition, yes.
That position. So we don't know how to improve that situation to keep them after we have time to train and improve their skill, and then they quit.
Yes. Yeah, the situation you just mentioned is actually encountered in many many either big or small company, and we are looking at what we call is attrition, like employee attrition. So basically those workers who've only been on the job for maybe less than a month or two, and then for some reason that they just decided to quit or something. A lot of time we do have a process, like before we are actually signing or giving them the permission for the determination. We usually, the HR usually will talk to them about it, like talk to them, chat with them, and figure it out. Maybe the first thing we will say that, oh yeah, well, why are you leaving? A lot of time they were just giving you certain reason, like a personal reason or family or whatever. But those ones are an issue that's not necessarily really reflects on what's the real reason behind, because if the person, well, it really depends on the co-worker's personality as well, but then most of them, they're not telling the truth. So the interesting part in the study or anybody who's interested on investigating will be how you can get a truth out of that. And by instead of doing a questionnaire, sometimes we will be collecting some of their, like I would say data, like behavioral type of data. For example, like what time they sign up for work, and then how much, what's their efficiency, who they are hanging out with, all those little things that the data that we collect. And then to predict whether this person will be, will quit the job, most likely to quit the job or not. So I think if it's a company, I think it will be a challenge to collecting all the data, because if you imagine like people who the coworker just by him or by herself, and who they're associated with. If there's no association, usually will be most likely to quit the job because they feel lonesome. But also in terms of job proficiency, can they reach to that job standards? So those ones are easier, but the more of the social aspect is difficult. And not to say in terms of the family personal aspect, but I'm not sure that will take much of the parts, because a lot of time we find out that they only use this as an excuse for changing or quitting the job, but may not be necessarily true, may not. But sometimes a lot of job dissatisfaction in terms of the pay, most likely it's the pay, it's the overtime, it's more of the compensation actually. That's what we find out. Yeah. So I think company who really needs to design a good pay structure and compensation, and as well as the work safety issues and all those. Yeah, I that's what I think. Yeah. So
yes. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. It's very interesting discussion here, but time is I think time is up.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
You're
In
welcome.
behalf of Department of Industrial Engineering at Majaya University, I said thank you to Professor Angela.
You're welcome.
Please, maybe the student can open the cam for I will capture. Please, the student can open your cam first. Okay, thank you. There are 3 pages here. Okay, the first 1, 2, 3. Okay, the first. Then the second one. Okay. And the third. Okay, thank you. I have a announcement here. Yeah. For next lecture series will be on November, right, Professor Angela? November 8th.
Yes.
Job analysis, and then November 15th, employee recruitment, selection, and placement. Okay. Because next week we have mid exam. This is the schedule for mid exam for industrial psychology course on Thursday, October 28, 2021, yeah, 8:30 in the morning. Okay, the time is the same, right? In Ho Chi Minh City and Jakarta, the same, yeah, 8:30. Yeah. Okay, we have online exam, yeah, online exam. So make sure that your e-learning, your email works, so you can access our e-learning system. Yeah. Okay, if you have a problem with your email or maybe your e-learning, you can inform Mrs. Tu. You can inform me, Mrs. Tu, and then Mrs. Tu will inform me to fix the problem. Okay. Any question regarding the mid exam? And the material is from the first meeting until today. Okay, until today. Okay, if there is no questions, I think is we will finish this general lecture. We see you again in the mid exam, and next month we will meet Professor Angela with another topic of general lecture. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
I'll see you then. Bye-bye.
Yeah, bye-bye. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Professor.
Bye.
Thank you, Mr.